You're doing all of this yourself, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I find your lack of disturbing.
My name is Darth.
Whiskey.
That's the stupidest name I've ever heard.
Welcome back, Dum Dum.
The Dojo is real?
Down, down, down.
Here we go. One more time. Let's get comfy in a Dutch chair. Oh, your boy looks shit-faced. Your boy looks so shit-faced. Come on, man. Pull it together. You got this. Let's record the introduction. You should leave all that in there. Hello there. Welcome to Dum Dum Dojo. I'm your host, Darth Whiskey, and thank you again for joining me. My guest this episode is my good friend, Mr. Oscar Ericsson of the band The Demtones. I met Oscar back in music school over 10 years ago. You could say that my time at music school squandered is putting it lightly, but I didn't do my homework much. Being in a place where it broke the thing I love down to this like scientific, studious thing kind of sapped some of the love out of it a little bit. And that's something that he and I talk about. But overall, Oscar and I really connected on kind of not doing our homework. I found some of my favorite hard rock bands through Oscar, and the way that I contextualize Swedish hard rock, it fits this very specific niche in my head of a kind of rock and roll. And in addition to the bands that Oscar turned me on to, his band that I mentioned earlier, the Demtones, fit right into that niche. And this was a really, really fun conversation, man. It was really, really good. This is the first conversation that he and I have had in a literal 10, 11 years since he and I graduated music school. And I'm really, really grateful for it. As always, you can find me on Instagram at Darth Whiskey, and I would love to hear from you guys. If there's anything you liked about the show specifically, if there's an album or a song or something like that that I talked about with a guest that you checked out and enjoyed, I would love to hear about it. And if there's also any recommendations, anything that I haven't heard of that I should have heard about, hit me with a bounce pass, and if I like it, I would love to mention it on the show and do a deep dive here on video. So thank you again for joining me. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. I'm slurring because I'm again shit-faced, but that's part of what you signed up for, isn't it? What am I missing? Catchphrase? I wish I knew how to say welcome to the dojo in Swedish, because Oscar is Swedish. He teaches me how to say the catchphrase at the end in Swedish, and I give that a shot. I don't know if I let that in the editing process, but all right. Dude, I'm still tripping out over the fact that, like, man, it's wild to me to think that, like, first and foremost, that now we're old enough to have friends that I can say, I haven't seen him in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit.
Right.
And then just thinking about, like, you know, where I was in my life at that time and how different the world was back then. And man, just, dude, in general, it is fantastic to see you, dude. So I'm glad to see that you're doing well. And
So good to see you too, man. It's like you just disappeared right after we stopped having classes together. Like I haven't seen you in such a long time, dude. Right?
I was gonna ask. So you're in Stockholm proper, right? Like in Sweden?
No, not Stockholm. I'm in Landskrona. It's do you know it's like way south?
Okay. I don't know my European geography at all, but as soon as
like you know Copenhagen, Denmark.
I mean, is it going to be extremely American of me to say no? I know. I honestly, I could have told you. You could have told me that Copenhagen was a country, and be like, yeah, okay, keep going.
No, but like I'm way down south in Sweden, so I'm an hour away from Copenhagen.
Okay,
it's like 5-6 hour drive to Stockholm.
Okay,
up north.
So it's not necessarily like living in LA, like right in the heat.
Oh no,
okay.
It's not. No,
okay. Dude,
very far from it. I stayed in LA for about a couple of years after finished school on like another visa, like option to work kind of thing. And then my visa expired and just kind of had to move back.
Yeah, man.
I gave a meth head all of my furniture and she could just clean the place out, you know? So I just thought you could just take everything and, you know, I just took my clothes and my guitarist and I went back.
Yeah, fuck, man. And have you been back since to visit or anything like that?
I went to New Orleans.
Oh, dude.
A couple of years ago. My girlfriend bought me a ticket.
Nice.
For Christmas, and I went there for 2 weeks.
Dude.
And a couple of my close friends from LA came down, so we like partied for a couple of weeks, and that's it. That was pretty cool. So what's it like in LA right now?
I think things are starting to open back up. It's getting to the point now, I think, where most people, if you want a shot, you can get it. I got the Moderna shot. I think I'm all right. I don't have a third arm yet, so all systems go so far. I don't have any X-Men powers yet. So for those of you watching, this is my good friend, Mr. Oscar Ericsson, which is probably the most American pronunciation of your name is Oscar Ericsson. Is that right? That's how you say it, right?
Yeah. Okay. America.
I'm very excited to get into some of your insights and perspectives on like your time in LA and what that was like.
Do we have class like from the first quarter?
I think so. You were one of the very first people I met, dude. Like you were not only one of the very first people that I met in music school, but it was like, I'll say that I liked like 20% of those people, like if that, and that's being generous. Like most of the people that went there were like,
yeah,
and it's nothing against them personally, but like different interests, right? There was a lot of guys into Dream Theater, not as many dudes into Joe Perry and the Black Crowes like you and me. You know what I mean? So
yeah, some people you just don't gel with. You know, it's just the way it is.
I was very glad that, like you said, so it was like first quarter, like first couple like classes. We ran into each other. I was like, I like this dude. I like this Swedish cat.
Yeah, I liked you too, man. From love at first sight, dude.
I don't know how much I really got from going to that school. All the things that I got from the school, like lesson-wise, the things that I learned, most of it wasn't in a book. It was like, hey, this is how, like the LPW stuff. So for those of you watching, it's the music school that Oscar and I went to where we met in the guitar program. They would have these like workshops where you'd pick a genre, and then each week, like the rock genre would have a different song or something like that. And so you learn the parts for your specific instrument, you book a specific time that you're going to show up and play the song, and they put you together with a band of other musicians on other instruments, most of whom you don't know. Like if you know them through playing at the school and stuff, maybe you know each other, but the idea being, hey, you haven't had a chance to gel and rehearse together. This is what it's like when you get musicians into a melting pot and learn how to feed off of each other's energy. And then you run into the problem where it's like, all right, I did my homework, and the drummer clearly just doesn't know that the intro is 6, and then it's the riff, right? Or little things like that.
Well, they sure as hell took all of our money.
Yep.
They did.
I don't know if you've had this experience since going there, but like, have you had like parents or like people asking you like, hey, should I send my kid to music school? What do you you went to music school. Surely you enjoyed and valued the experience. Mm-hmm. What do you think? And I have to struggle to tell people a little bit. I'm like, I'd say take half the money that you would spend on that kid's college tuition, buy him a dope ass laptop, buy him a bunch of plugins, give him quality tools, and feed their curiosity. And you'll get a lot more out of it, I think, than go to insert music school here and spend a bunch of money.
You grew up in LA, right?
I mean, I had to drive like an hour, but like I'm from here, so like it doesn't feel like a big deal.
But still have your parents close.
Of course, this is home for me.
Stuff. Yeah. Because to me, the big thing, like I want to travel to big city to meet people that want to be in bands.
Yeah,
you know, that was number one. But it was good for me to just be on the other side of the world and not being able to see my parents and my family all the time and kind of be on my own and discover myself. Yeah. Kind of, I don't know what you'd say in English, but nobody could judge you. Just start fresh kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? I don't really value the education I got from MI, you know, and I might have done differently today.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for the few friends like you that I got out of it. But if I do it all over again, I'd probably just go to another big city and just try starting bands, and I wouldn't really enroll in school.
Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, there's a lot of things that I would have done differently. Like, I would say that, like, if I was going to do it all over again and actually go to school, motherfucker, I got to do my homework. Like, I think one of the big reasons that you and I connected with each other was like, yeah, we're not going to learn these arpeggios, right? We're not doing that. That's not what we do. I'm not going to learn this Dream Theater solo, right? Like, this doesn't excite me. not to mention too, like the scales and patterns and modes and all that kind of stuff. Like that stuff, especially today, is extremely accessible on the internet. You know what I mean? Like there's all those materials and stuff. You could spend $500 on like your favorite YouTube guitar player's year-long subscription course, whatever the fuck it is. Things like the open counselings where we could like, go and sit down with a teacher and like learn some shit. I should have done way more of that. I should have been doing way more of that and learning and sponging off of players and just in general playing with more people. Like I didn't do that nearly enough.
Well, it sounds pretty harsh, but I think going to music school kind of destroyed me as a musician. It didn't really give me a chance to grow. It just tore everything down because you were going to school.
Yeah.
To learn this thing to pass on to the next thing. And I came there like, I know I've always had feel.
Yeah.
And just going to school just kind of destroyed all that and just made everything technical.
Yeah.
And just breaking everything down. And it took me years to get back to just being able to play a song with a band and just coming back to, without thinking and doing all that school shit.
Dude.
However, the independent artist program pretty much saved my life because I couldn't really get into the last 2 quarters of the guitar program. And I just felt like I'm not going to sit around here just writing fucking notations and doing all that shit because that's not me. The independent artist program really saved my ass because I learned to record. I learned to do, learned to book shows. I learned a lot about music business and management and the whole DIY thing, just doing everything yourself. So when I came back to Sweden, I just started a band and just started doing all that shit, and I got gigs right away.
Yeah, when I think about it, go save yourself. I won't be outsmarted. I'll be the better man.
Surely like one of the first things that we made small talk about, the Les Paul that you played was and I'm also gonna eventually request pictures and all sorts of stuff for you to send me so that I can like slide them on screen and stuff.
Dude, I got it right here. It's still my main guitar. I fucking hated that thing when I got it. I fucking hated it.
It was a black and it was a Les Paul classic, right?
Yeah, and you got the same thing but in sunburst. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I loved those classic necks because for whatever for the guitar players, non-guitar players, whatever it is, we both play Les Paul guitars at the time. And Les Pauls are generally known for a thicker, more like baseball bat style neck. And I got bitch hands. And so for whatever reason, the particular Les Paul that I got way back when I was 12 had a thinner than normal neck. And so when we were in music school and I ran into Oscar, oh, there he is, right on time too. So Oscar had this black Les Paul classic. Wait, so you said you disliked it when you got it. Did you get that in America when you landed here?
No, I bought that when I was 17. I think my dad found this on like the Swedish version of Craigslist for like $1,000. It was pretty much new. And I took it back from music class and I fucking hated it. Didn't feel good at all.
Okay.
Did not gel with it one bit. But that was pretty much the only guitar I had when I moved to LA. And I just played it for so long that now I kind of gelled with it like it's my guitar.
Yeah.
You know?
I forever associate you with the black Les Paul.
Yeah, now I love it. But those first few years, like even back in LA, I pretty much hated it.
You mentioned that like going to school felt kind of like it robbed you of your feel, right? Like, and the way that I relate to that is I remember part of what I disliked about school in general is it took the thing that I love, music, right, and then broke it down so scientifically and into all these like different technical, I don't know what you'd call it, just it broke it down really scientifically to a point where it became less enjoyable to digest, and it wasn't fun anymore. Yeah, it felt like the goal, the quest became like master the knowledge as opposed to like enjoy playing music, like. Or maybe that was just a mental thing at where I was in my head at the time of like not feeling like I don't know enough and imposter syndrome and everybody around me shreds. And that was all a real thing for me too, is feeling like, oh shit, everybody around. This guy from Estonia, dude. There were Swedish cats and Estonian cats and Brazilian dudes and the Asian dudes that like spoke no English, and then like what the fuck? And here I am,
they
like
threw down, man. Yeah, they studied. Yeah, studied hard. The way I grew as a musician when I lived in LA is like I lived so close to Amoeba, so I spent pretty much all my money in that record store. And I just listened to all these records. And I was just sitting there listening to all these records and going through all these records and live shit on YouTube and just playing guitar and drinking beer on my couch. Yeah. So I started missing a lot of classes. But I was like, I just got to keep up these grades, you know, to still have my grant or whatever.
Yeah.
Or funding for school from Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still paying off those loans. Right?
Damn.
I had 2 huge suitcases of just full of records, man.
Dude,
I learned everything.
Did you take them all back with you?
No. Well, I kind of did. I put them in my old laptops. I have them in iTunes, right? But I couldn't put them on the plane, so I just gave it to a friend. Like, here, you can have all these.
Oh, damn.
And then, as I said before, I just gave all my furniture to a meth head and just cleaned my apartment. And then, you know.
Wait a minute.
Went, here are the keys.
Explain the meth head furniture situation. What is this?
Just a friend of a friend who she was a nice chick, but she was just into meth, right? So she just liked free shit, but she worked like as a cleaning lady, and she liked that job. So I was like, hey, you can have all my furniture and just do whatever you want with them if you just clean my apartment when I move out. I just gave her the keys and I left.
You placed a lot of trust into a stranger that uses illicit substances, but that's...
I just told my roommate. I just set everything up, and I think he just kind of had to live with it.
That's hilarious. Fuck. So it's 9 o'clock where you are. It's like the middle of the day. If you want to get shit-faced, I'm going to get shit-faced with you in the middle of the day.
Well, I've been drinking gin all the time.
All right, dude. Let's fucking... Hey, dude.
All along.
Cheers to fucking 10 years later, man.
Oh, welcome to Sweden.
Oh, man. Speaking of which, as soon as I can get my ass over there, as soon as the world opens up, I am determined to see some places. So,
do you still have the Asian Humvee?
Oh, yeah. That would be the FJ Cruiser, a.k.a. the BJ Cruiser, the FJ Bruiser.
I've never been in a car as big as that.
That's hilarious. That's the concept of like a big American car to you is like a mid-sized Toyota SUV. But
it's not mid-sized at all.
It's not that big. Yeah, I mean, like it looks like an anime cartoon assault vehicle. It's like the samurai that pops out of that vehicle.
He's overweight.
I mean, you're looking at him.
No, man, I didn't mean it like that. I thought it was an awesome car. I was like, I've never been in a car that's that big before.
That's funny.
Like, you couldn't park that fucking car anywhere in Sweden.
What were some of the big culture shocks about? Like, oh, that's different. They do that here? Okay. Oh, these people are strange here. I didn't realize this.
We get a lot of American TV in Sweden. And I think Sweden is probably one of the most Americanized countries in Europe.
Uh-huh.
So... it was pretty much everything I've seen on TV, so I was kind of prepared for it. Now it's just like kind of in it, you know?
That area too of like Hollywood and Highland where it's like super touristy. You got
we went to that Asian spot.
The Japanese place, dude. Hell yes.
Yeah, right.
What is the name?
Yeah.
It was called Kino Sushi. I don't know if they I hope they still exist. I hope they made it through COVID. But there was a Japanese food spot like right across from music school, and it was inexpensive. Lots of music students there all the time, and we crushed many a chicken teriyaki there.
We did.
I'm currently drinking. This is called Agitator, Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey finished in red wine barrel.
I'm drinking pink gin. This shit is awesome, dude. I got it for my birthday. You know what I also got for my birthday?
Crabs.
COVID.
Oh, bummer.
Because we just finished recording our second album.
Oh, dude. Congratulations, man. Mm-hmm. By the we, Oscar is referring to his band, the Demtones. Real fuzzy riff rock. All the shit that you and I talked about loving back in music school of like GNR, Aerosmith, Black Crowes, Alice in Chains. Like, you know, I hear some Foo Fighters in there. Definitely, like, you know what's funny is I hear some like old school, like The Who and like classic rock, but not Zeppelin-ish classic rock. Because if I remember correctly, you and I both don't really fuck with Zeppelin that much either, right?
Well, I love Zeppelin, but it's just like the thing I like the most about Zeppelin is probably Jimmy Page's guitar tone. But I'm not the kind of guy that just sits and listens to Zeppelin every day. I'm not that guy.
I remember that we had that in common of like Zeppelin's cool, but it's not like the driving force behind our guitar playing ethos.
No.
So you were mentioning you got COVID for your birthday right after recording the second album.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because we started recording this album last October, right? So we tracked 12 songs in 3 days live with the band. And then I did guitar overdubs just to get the left-right kind of thing because we're a three-piece, right? I came into the studio to start recording vocals, right? Because I had a week off and just gonna get it done.
Right.
And I recorded one song, and then later that night, I just woke up and sweat was just pouring. Like now I'm finishing up the vocals in the studio that we actually built this fall. The table in the control room is our old kitchen table from when I was a kid. I would always sit and have breakfast at this table. And I have my first guitar. I'll show you this.
Oscar's bringing goodies.
Just have a bunch of old stuff. This is my first guitar.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Does it still work?
Yeah, it sounds great, man. It's just like kind of Ace Frehley kind of style. But anyways, I just took all my old shit and just put it in here and built a vocal booth out of old blankets, and it just works. And just put some glass in just to be able to look into the studio, and you know, we're up and running.
Dude, so okay, so tell me about the Demtones. And so this is a band that you started when you got back home from school, huh?
No, because when I got back from school, I started this other band called the Royal Ruckus.
Oh, I remember that. I remember
like
the
a four-piece. Yeah.
It was the double R logo too, right?
Yeah. We did a bit of touring and just playing and recording EPs and whatever. And then we were just not really getting along. There were relationships in the band and just everything just kind of went to shit.
Yeah, I've been there.
So I was just thinking, man, because I'm not a singer, but I was like, if I just start singing and writing my own songs, I'm not going to have to wait for anybody, you know, to go out and play or whatever. So I just pulled it together. Just got the drummer from the Royal Ruckus. He joined me, and we got another friend of ours who's a bass player to play with us, and recorded, 2 EPs that became the first record, and just we're off.
Dude.
That's our AC/DC Beatles song.
It's very, you know what I get from it is I get My Generation from The Who. It's a very like a Pete Townsend kind of like, dude, you know what else I got to mention too, by the way, like I'm all over the place with this goddamn conversation, but one of the things that I love and I do have written down about Demtones is, dude, the guitar tones are the shit. The guitar sounds, it's not crazy gain. Like you're not using a bunch of like fuzz pedals and this and that. It's like, feels organic and natural and like overdrivey as opposed to like distortion. So talk a little bit about like, you know, influences and choices and that kind of thing.
My favorite amps to record with is an old AC30, which I fucking love. And I have this 65 Fender Bassman Blackface I love recording with them. But then I hooked up with this local amp builder called Mads. He built this 18-watt plexi head.
Nice.
It sounds great for the band because it's not too loud. Because in Sweden, you have to play pretty quiet on stage. So I kind of learned how to live with guitar through monitors. But if it sounds good in the monitors, chances are it sounds good
out front
through
absolutely.
the PA,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then Mads made me my own signature overdrive pedal.
What? Oh my God, that's so cool.
So that's fucking thing I keep on all the time, right? Back in Royal Rookies, and we started doing some touring, I started playing a lot of backline amps.
Mm-hmm. Super inconsistent. I mean, for anybody who's not a non-musician, what Oscar means by backline, as you tour, and surely I think this is as much of a thing around Europe as it is around America. Like, it's inefficient for bands to carry a bunch of gear with them, and if the venue's already got their bass amp or their guitar amp or whatever it is, and it's easier for people to get in and out, then you're just gonna fucking use what's on stage and you're gonna deal with it.
Yeah, same with a lot of festival shows. You can't really bring all your gear there. You just have a real short changeover. Just get the gear that's there and make it work.
Dude, so is the pedal like available for purchase?
Oh yeah,
dude, that's so fucking
we
sick.
Bring them out, yeah. So we sell them at our shows as merch.
Dude, oh, that's fucking, oh my God, that is sick as fuck.
This is the last one I have from the first batch.
Hang on, hard pause. What a fucking merch idea. The signature guitar pedal at the merch booth, that is huge.
Yeah.
That is so fucking cool. I feel like the performance video became like a dirty thing for a little while. Like there was a period in time where like people were like, oh, we're not gonna do performance videos. Every music video has to be like a 12-minute short film, which is just dog shit to me. And especially with this genre where it's like, fucking loud, fast, heavy, riffy rock. Just give me the fucking band going nuts on a rooftop. And slide wah solo. So not like you're using a wah
slide
pedal.
Wah fuzz.
Slide wah fuzz solo. I was like, oh, these are some interesting. This is an interesting Jenga tower that you're constructing here.
Yeah, just turn it all on, man. Turn it on. Make some noise.
The super driving bass line, like the bass pedals on like kind of that one droning note. And then I love the production on the vocal too. The not just like the compression of where it sits in the mix, but it's like an Ozzy Osbourne kind of like slapback delay.
When I started this band, I only had like a couple of songs, Sleep and What You Got to Lose were actually two of them. And then I met the other guitar player, which was in the band for a short while because he had a studio. I was like, hey man, can we just book studio time in 3 months and I'll just have my shit together by then? And it's like, sure.
Yeah.
So I had a deadline and we just recorded those songs.
What was the performance that I found on YouTube that's like the half-hour long like live show?
That's from something called the HX Festival.
Okay.
It's in Helsingborg. Because of COVID, they couldn't have their city festival. So they had basically 2 TV channels going for 3 or 4 days straight on YouTube. Whoa. Live streaming from a few different stages around town. Like fresh out of MI, like right as we were graduating. Yeah, just going back to that, because I saw your old podcast or old episodes a while ago. We were talking about that album you recorded with Matt Sorum, or at Matt Sorum's studio, right? Wasn't Kenny Aronoff playing drums on that?
Yeah. So right as we were finishing up music school, one of the teachers at the school, a guy named Eric Korn. Shout out Eric Korn. I love you, buddy. Miss you.
Oh, was he producing it?
Yeah, so Eric produced the record.
Oh, killer. I didn't remember that. Fucking great, man.
The stuff I did at Matt's studio was separate from my album. Or I guess, I mean, kind of. I did more session stuff at Matt's than I've done my own stuff. But the thing that I did with Eric and Kenny, Eric had done other records with Kenny. And when he mentioned that like he could get Kenny for my record, I was like, yeah, let's do it. In hindsight, I was grossly unprepared. Like when I listen back to that music, things like when to push and when not to push, right? Like rhythmically. So like if you're like anticipations and stuff, or like I can hear stuff on the recording where like the bass doesn't follow the kick drum. The bass is following the guitar riff as opposed to the kick drum, when the right move to facilitate the groove and to make the song feel better would be to follow the kick drum. These are things that I now know as like a 30-year-old musician that I didn't when I was 17 writing the shit. And it feel like my influences are very plainly on my sleeve. Like to this point, I've only listened to Guns N' Roses, Van Halen, Velvet Revolver, Stone Temple Pilots, Motley Crue, end of list, you know. And like it's those 5 bands and a handful of others that's like, yeah, this is me doing my best impression at this. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun learning experience. It was wild to see a pro, like, and in hindsight now, like with Kenny Aronoff, it's just like, oh yeah, it was just a session for him. It's the session for him the same way it's like a Tuesday session for me of like, it's some fucking kid's record, I don't know. But with that, like, even though I was a nobody, he came in with all 9 or 10 songs charted out. Here's where the fill break is. Do you want a snare fill, a flam fill, full on pros pro? And as somebody wanting to do that, I remember seeing that and being like, oh shit, like, okay, that's the level of preparation that you need to have.
Yeah.
If somebody calls you and says like, hey, cool, I'd like to hire your services. He totally could have phoned, and like my music at the time, the hard rock stuff is just like, yeah, just every 8 bars do something different, and then in the chorus go to the crash, right? Like he could have totally phoned it in for some shithead 18, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah. And
he didn't. He did a fantastic job. I don't like any of the music. The music is, I listen back to the music and it all sounds like stuff I wrote when I was 17, because I was 17 when I wrote it. And the majority of the lyrics don't make sense. I was real stuck in my Scott Weiland phrase where I was like, I just say phrase? Yeah, I'm drunk at 1:16 p.m. My Scott Weiland phase, if you will, of just like lyrics that don't make sense and like trying too hard to be cryptic and cool. And it felt immature and juvenile songwriting to me.
Well, just let me say something. To me, that's exactly what you should be doing to learn about yourself and just grow as a musician
100%.
Instead of going to school. You should be doing that kind of shit.
Yeah.
To have like other people that are more talented and a lot older, like Kerry Aronoff as a drummer and getting a real producer and kind of stuff. Dude, you're gonna learn so much just doing that.
Right. And
to me,
yeah.
that will be worth all that money and all that time instead of sitting behind a fucking bench learning scales that will bring me nowhere. So what I'm saying is that you shouldn't feel bad about sounding like a 17-year-old because you learned a lot from it, and that's where you were at the time. I just think you should be proud of what you've done, man.
Sincere thank you for that, Oscar. I appreciate that.
Accomplish.
I appreciate that, man.
That's exactly how I feel about this record. This is my first record singing and writing. I fucking hate this shit, dude.
Really? So
you can cut it out if you want to.
No. That's
like,
I'm leaving all this in now because I think this is an interesting examination of like what it is we feel as artists personally versus how the world digests our shit. For better or worse, this is a snapshot in time. This is a capturing of a moment.
Exactly.
Of who I was.
It's a snapshot.
At that moment. And for those reasons, I guess I can appreciate that record. Right around the same time as me doing that record, I got like my first ever session gig through a friend of a friend for a reality star who she'd had there was like a dating show with, and then she'd had her own like spin-off reality show, which I watched religiously as a high school kid. Diplomatic Flavor Flav is here to save the day when you're drunk with your friend named Oscar, getting shit-faced in the middle of the day, and you're talking shit and you're saying things that you shouldn't say about people who have previously employed you to play guitar for them, so maybe you shouldn't talk shit. It was my first session gig, first hired gun experience. I was like 18, 19. And it came at kind of a strange timing because it came like right as we were wrapping up school. I focused even less on school because it was like, cool, this is the reason I was going to this fucking school, is to find a gig someday. I got a gig someday.
Yeah.
Little did I know how, like, I don't know. Diplomatic Flavor Flav is here to save the day when you're drunk. I was very grateful to be asked to sit at the table, and I'm still very grateful for that experience. In hindsight, I can say that there was like a lot of riffraff and stuff that maybe I could have avoided or not involved myself with, or this thing or that thing. But it was a lot of fun, fresh out of music school, and so I did that. And then basically after that, and then since then, it's been session gig to session gig. Most recent thing was playing with a dude. His name's Shim Moore, and he sang in a band called Sick Puppies. They were like an active rock band. Had a couple big singles, and Shim did a solo record. We did a tour, and then we did a couple festivals, and then we're getting ready to kind of figure out what the next step was, and then COVID hit, and it was like, all right, he's got to go back to Australia. He's got a family.
Oh, so you're still working with them, and you're just
everything's cool.
Waiting.
I mean, I don't know what necessarily we're waiting for, because I think that now that he's back, and I mean, he's got a family, he's got 2 kids, and he's since COVID has hit, he's started a really successful Twitch like stream, and so like he's doing his thing. He plays like basically 3-4 nights a week on Twitch, doing like requests and like live music production, crowd-funded songwriting, where it's like, you know, the viewers can come in and suggest a verse or something. That he does some really, really cool shit. I think that's part of the things that we're gonna be having to figure out as musicians as the world comes back. Is like, and even I was thinking about like, all right, what am I gonna do with this podcast? Like, when I can finally be in the room with a friend, am I gonna have to get a second camera so that I can get like their angle too? Because here I can just like screen grab a Zoom or something like that, and it is part of the shtick, which is like, I'm in my bedroom, my friend is in their bedroom. This is, you know, what it is. But as we have to adapt to a post-COVID world, I think streaming and live stream, like it's not really my thing. I've never really been the kind of guitar player that's like, let me grab my acoustic around the campfire and play you some Oasis and some sing-along and stuff. It's not my thing. And a big part of me wishes that it was my thing.
Like doing this whole podcast thing, I've just seen your last few episodes, and it looks great, man. And this looks like you.
I appreciate it, man.
You're still the way I remember you from way back when, right?
Yeah, I cringe at so much of who I was as a person in music school. Like, I was just like, it was a lot of loud clothing and like audacious pants. Let's cut to some audacious pants. But I maintain, like, again, so to ask like what kind of things that I get from the school, like the fact that you and I are friends still, and the fact that in my head, if somebody says by the grace of God, right, as soon as I hear that phrase in any other it has nothing to do with music, has nothing. You're smiling, you're grinning because you know what I'm about to talk about. That's exactly right. Like, hey, I got one for you, Oscar. You ready? There's a Swedish band called The Helicopters. It's HELLA Copters. And is the album isn't By the Grace of God. The album is High Visibility, if I remember correctly, right?
No. By the Grace of God is on the album By the Grace of God. The album High Visibility came before By the Grace of God album.
Oh, just kidding. So 2 separate albums.
But those 2 records are some of the greatest guitar records ever made.
This was one of the handful of bands that Oscar turned me on to while we were in music school. Like, dog, you got to check these guys out. Dude, Swedish hard rock, and I say specifically hard rock. Like, it's a really specific kind of rock and roll that's like very inspired by Guns N' Roses and like not hair metal, but like the gritty sleaze of that kind of thing. And here's a burp. Oh yeah, at the end was vomit and whiskey. The Helicopters, By the Grace of God, man, is one of the things that I've written down.
I think they broke up before I moved to the U.S. I think they did their last tour, 2008. I went to a couple of shows. It was fucking great.
Dude.
And then they quit, and then we're trying to do a reunion kind of thing. And then one of the guitar players actually passed away.
Oh, bummer.
4 years ago, before they could do a reunion. He was a dude for me. I fucking love that band. You should check out, did you ever listen to The Solution?
The Solution?
No? Never told you about The Solution?
No, tell me about
It's
them
like
now.
a Swedish soul band.
Ooh.
Like soul, like big band kind of soul, a little bit of rock. Great albums.
Dude. Like some like Sharon Jones, Charles Bradley type stuff?
I don't know those names. Some kind of like Blue Eyed Soul.
Okay, these are both Brown Eyed Soul because those are both black people. I can't wait to be on stage again and do one of these. Do you feel good? 22. Howdy folks, Darth Whiskey here to tell you about something extremely important for my friends at Fromunda. This is their all-natural body powder, made with no artificial ingredients, no animal testing, no parabens or sulfates or none of that gross shit. It's gluten-free. I don't know why that's important because it's not like you're eating it, but that's something important to know. I burped because I'm drunk. And speaking of being drunk, don't you want the important person in your life to be love drunk off of the general fragrance of your testicles? Of course you do. And with my the brand new citrus IPA fragrance from Fromunda, that goal is achievable for you and the lucky person that gets to put your dick in their mouth. And to Fromunda.com, that's FROMONDA.com, and use the promo code DOJO, that's DOJO, for 15% off of your entire order. Tell me boy Darth Whiskey sent you a nice bold citrus IPA flavor, just right there. And then it's a zoom in, and then it's a slow zoom, and it's a slow zoom in on my face.
We started a new series where we invite local players, from local bands that are actually writing their own music, releasing their own music, doing it the way we're doing it, the whole DIY thing. We just hang out here in the studio, and then we go in and we play at least one of their songs. So they're all going to be in Swedish, but we're going to put some subtitles on there just to spread the word about us, our studio, and almost more importantly, other bands in the area that are actually really working hard, man. And I do all the mixing and recording, and our drummer does the video stuff. I'll take you into our studio later on. I'll show you some footage of it,
Dude.
But it just makes us better all around, kind of like you're doing with the podcast. So you got to create the space that you want to live in and kind of have the people around you that you want to work with.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely, dude. And I mean, this podcast is just a diet version of the podcasts that I watch and enjoy and take influence from. And it's my own version of it, right? Like in the same way, I think, even if you hear another guitar player's riff, if we learn a Slash solo or something like that, like you go back to play it, the joy that I feel from playing that solo is not from playing it note from note, but like maybe learning it and like kind of deciding what I would do with it and like doing other extra shit, like reinterpreting
Right,
it.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because even if I were to try to carbon copy a Slash or whoever the fuck, when I do it, it ain't gonna sound like him. It's gonna sound like me because I don't have Slash's fingers.
Right.
And that reinterpretation and that reimagining of the thing that inspires you, and then it's spitting out a different version, it has been something really, really fun and really interesting for me of deciding what it is that I want to do creatively and what that looks like, and finding my own inside jokes, finding my own recurring, things. Dude, okay, so wait, I was going to mention this. Is the majority of your hair white now? Because that is tight as fuck.
Dude, I started getting grays when I was 17.
That is so fucking tight, because here I am now, like I'm 30 now. See, I'm so used to saying knocking on the door of 30. Nah, your boy's 30. Your boy turned 30 before Valentine's Day. But like, I have dark hair, and so like whenever I get a gray, and I've been getting more and more and more of them, they stick out real hard, and I'm like, I wish I could just go full Magneto and just have a whole white hair. Like in the Thor comics, Thor has recently gone like full long white hair. So this is now where I'm gonna Photoshop you onto Thor's body.
Well, thank I started getting my grace when I was 17. So I don't know. This is the way I look. I kind of always look forward to it because I'm not losing hair. I have a full set of hair. I have a lot of hair. And just having that gray, that can kind of be a trademark or something, you know?
I mean, I've been thinking about for the longest time, I might just dye my whole head white and just get in front of the problem.
It's time for another subject change.
So a section that I do each podcast is called Rookie Shit, and this is where the Rookie Shit theme song goes. And then it's going to freeze frame when I do this. I don't know why my hand looks so white. I don't know what's up with the lighting in here, but parts of my body look extremely pale. I also haven't seen much sunlight in the past couple months. We're going to keep moving. Give me your most embarrassing stage moment off the top of your head if you can think of any.
I remember this one time we played this daytime festival, right? And we were doing a cover in our set because of this festival, because it was like a Latino festival. So we're playing a rock and roll set, and then we added this.
Is this in America?
Latino rock song. No, in Sweden. In Malmö.
Had a Latino festival in Sweden?
A few years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I completely forgot the song, right? The monitor mix was shit, so I couldn't hear what the drums were doing and what the bass player was doing.
Oh, no.
So I started changing the chords at the wrong spot, right? Everybody's just standing around just looking at me. I'm like, all right, obviously I'm doing something wrong, right? The drummer's just sitting looking at me, and the bass player's just standing there just looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? So I'm like, all right, I got to figure this out. So I started walking across the stage, right, over to the bass player and standing by his bass amp, just trying to figure out when to change the chords. And that took like another 30 seconds, right? And everybody's just looking at me like I was a fucking idiot. And then we played the song, and then it was out. Yeah, and the last show we did with Demtones, we went to Stockholm right before COVID. We played that like a year before. There were like 200 people in the crowd. Just
nice.
It was a pretty cool show.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So we come up, we go there again, and we play a show for 18 people, and that's including all the waitresses and the, fucking security guards. It was shitty. We played the worst show we've ever played. Yeah. That was horrible. Never want to feel that way again.
Yeah. Like the worst musical experiences I've ever had, where it's like, I never want to feel that way again. One of them happened while I was at MI. Did you ever do any of the auditions like through the school for any of the jobs and shit?
Oh, yeah. I did one. Yeah. I wasn't really going after the job. I just wanted to see what it was like. So I learned the song, and then I kind of went in there, and I don't know if I was hungover or whatever, where I've just been up all night because I've just sit up all night and play guitar and then only get like a couple hours of sleep, and then school. It wasn't really healthy. Anyway, so I showed up to this audition, and I felt like I kind of knew the songs, but just standing there on my own and just playing it, I just realized that this is out of my league. I'm fucking up. I'm just taking up people's time. I shouldn't be here right now.
I did Katy Perry. I Kissed a Girl.
What, you got an audition for Katy Perry?
Through the school, at the school, on that same fucking stage where we did all our shit at. I wore a suit. I went out and bought my first like suit jacket. I got like a Hugo Boss that day. I was like, all right, because I went and looked up like what her band looks like. I was like, all right, I want to look the part.
With the hat?
I did not wear the hat. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna leave that. That is.
But you still had the red hair and
probably, yeah. That was another fucking fashion misstep. You know what? Listen, you talk about growth and moving past things.
I'm not judging.
You never looked uncool though, so go fuck yourself. You always, besides the fact that you always had that cool, like, I'm European, I can get away with interesting fashion choices. You're also like tall and skinny, and so like when you'd wear like the boot cut jeans with the flare at the bottom, like, all right, that looks dope. And then I remember you would wear like, because your hair would be like super long and like bushy, you'd wear like the Izzy Stradlin like beret style, like not golf hat, but like, you know what I'm talking about, like the dope.
Yeah, it was like this oversized kind of hat. Yeah, I can't wear that anymore because my girlfriend says I can't.
Listen, my girlfriend / not girlfriend hates this hat and all the other fucking hats like it. And then anytime we were in public together, and then it's like I would just get random, like, excuse me, I don't want to bother you, but I just want to let you know your hat is that's such a cool hat. And be like, hey honey, hey babe, come here. Just
Fuck yeah.
one more time, and then yeah, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Anyways, I mean so the whole reason I even brought this up was one of my worst musical experiences ever. At least definitely as far as auditions go, and like one where I know it will never ever 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 be worse than this was 2009, 2010. The band was Breaking Benjamin, and they just put out a record called Dear Agony. And so they're like, if you're not familiar with the band, they're like radio rock, really like pretty like down-tuned and heavy, which is a part of the story later, which is important. If you know anything about me as a guitar player, I don't live in drop B land, and that's where this band was. No. It was pretty low, and the single at the time was called "I Will Not Bow." Ended up being a huge radio hit for like that genre of like active rock, like that kind of rock that's like really popular in the American Midwest. But the song is in B, and we played Les Pauls that are not normally meant to play that low. I went to the MI like student store, whatever it was. I just grabbed whatever pair, like, hey, whatever pair that can get me into drop B on my Les Paul is what I asked the guy for. I had no idea what I was doing, like action wise and like intonation wise and like scale length wise. Just basically,
you're just taking your Les Paul, putting on big strings, and just bro,
and saying, I hope this works. And it didn't really, because it wasn't meant to. It wasn't a terribly difficult song, but I remember like the job also calls for like guitar and backing vocals, right? And I knew that like if you could sing backing vocals, that was all they would always preach that at schools. Like if you can do backing vocals,
remember that,
that's your in. Because if it comes down to you like a guitar player and somebody who can play guitar and sing, and it's one less person they have to worry about like doing harmonies, whatever it is, that person's getting the gig. All other things equal. I show up that day dressed real loud, wearing that hat, which is again,
I know exactly what you. I'm not really laughing at the way you look. I'm laughing at the fact that when you say you showed up dressed real loud, dude. I see the picture of you in my head with the hat and the big sunglasses and all the jewelry. And didn't you have like pants with flags on them or something?
Yeah, sure. Of course I did. Thanks, Oscar.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. I didn't feel like that. I'm laughing at the fact that I can see exactly what you look like. And I bet you could put up a picture like right here.
Oh yeah,
you
no.
can just see
yes,
it.
The whole time that you've been talking has just been a montage of my best and worst post high school fashion choice moments. And I wore that hat, that's sitting the Wyland hat, every day. Those of you unfortunate enough to know me when I was younger will remember that I never removed my sunglasses like ever, because that was part of the caricature at the time. And I can feel my skin is tingling as I tell this story because it makes me cringe. Somebody mentioned to me, like for audition purposes, like, hey, you should really take your glasses off so they can see your face. Like that's kind of important. So I was like, all right, fine. Took my glasses off of my face, and then like I put them on the brim, so on the top brim of the hat. And so I'm playing and I'm doing my thing and like trying to get into it, trying to like just be active and move around and be lively on stage. And I go to do like the first line of the chorus and I sing, and as I do like the big overacting movement, my glasses fall off of my hat onto the stage, and then like mental acuity is completely wrecked. I completely distracted myself because now I'm embarrassed and completely in my own head. I forget the lyrics. I forget the chorus lyrics. And then so I start to mumble them the way that you just instinctively mumble stuff when you kind of know the lyrics. So I'm singing and just mumbling along and like trying to play. And then as I'm digging in, the adrenaline is kicking in, and so like I'm playing a little bit harder. And because I'm playing harder, what happens? My guitar with freshly new low strings that aren't meant to be on this guitar go out of whack. And so by second chorus, we're talking about full train wreck of like the lowest B string, the low E, right, is like fatly out of tune. And this is in the auditorium where like, so the band wasn't there. I remember they were on tour, and they were filming all this, and they were gonna like send the video submissions to the band or to the main singer dude to have him pick the band members, whatever it was. And so it was like the main dude who was holding auditions, Barry Squire, and like a couple of like people waiting.
Yeah, Barry's a cool dude. I liked him.
Barry was great. Barry's awesome. And just other people waiting to audition and just people like tangentially watching. And I remember as soon as the glasses fell on the stage, I was like, oh, you're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. This is why you don't bring stage. This is why you should stop doing this. This is why it's not cool. Of course it's not cool.
Man,
Nobody thinks you're cool.
That's what went wrong. Right? That's exactly what went wrong. Because now that you dropped the glasses, that you started thinking.
Of course.
When you started thinking and you feel like you're not good enough, then you're not good enough, and everything just goes to shit.
Absolutely.
That's the problem, man. And you just got to set everything up that you can't fuck yourself over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, now in hindsight, by that point too, I still didn't have a whole lot of experience playing on stage. Like all the experience I had playing on a stage was playing on that stage every week as homework, so now, when my glasses have fallen off on stage, because I still wear glasses all the time on stage now. Like it's still mostly a defense mechanism, if anybody's curious, just because it's like when I play, for whatever reason, most of the time my eyes are closed, and like racially it's already hard to tell if these guys are open. So I feel like rather than do the audience a disservice of like, are they open,
Is
are
it
they
racist
not,
to
and like
laugh at that?
just have that's why I made the joke, motherfucker. Glasses fell, so it's a train wreck audition. I'm I'm grossly out of tune. I'm forgetting the words. I think by the third chorus I didn't even bother to sing the chorus. Like at this point, like I'm sure I was just beat red, embarrassed. And then I got off stage, and then Barry, shout out to Mr. Barry Squire, the ever generous Mr. Barry Squire. I get off stage, and he's like, "That was great, pal, great job." And I was like, "Yeah, come on, Barry, we know that wasn't great." And I said, I remember acknowledging that it was dog shit in the moment. I was like, "Sorry, I didn't bring it today, Barry." I said something to that effect, and feeling real defeated. And I probably got in my car and cried. I don't remember that I did, but it's definitely not outside the imagination to imagine that I would go home just crying. Not just because I wanted the gig so bad, but because I knew I let myself down. But then I very quickly, and if this is a defense mechanism, then fine. But very quickly in my head, I filed that away as cool. Ain't never going to get worse than that. It can't ever get that bad again.
Yeah,
and
but
it
you
hasn't.
need those experiences, man, and that's what sets people aside. The ones that just go, "Well, that was shit. It's not going to happen again. We'll just move on." It's nothing worse than just staying in that moment, just feeling bad. Just fuck it.
And since then, I've done a bunch of auditions for Barry, some of which where I got the job, some of I haven't. But like, I've been infinitely more prepared. I know the bass player's part, in addition to where the drummer's going to do the hi-hat choke and all that shit. And because that's part of getting the gig, you know what I mean? If and when I've gotten the gig, it's not been because I can shred the fastest or something like that. Like if that's what you're going for, I'm never going to get picked. Like, and I've kind of resigned myself to that of like, listen, if you want the hardcore classical guitar player or jazz guitar player or blues purist or whatever it is, then I'm probably not, I wasn't going to be the guy anyways. But if it's what I do that you're looking for, of some kind of combination of all those things, I might be the dude for you. And I'm going to lean into being the best version of myself, that kind of specialized version. Because like with this podcast or with music or anything else, it's like if you enjoy what it is that I do or this version of who I am, which is as kind of transparent as I can offer it, then you're going to be along for the ride for anything else, you know?
You got to create your own success, man. Like I'd love to be, my dream is to be like a Malcolm Young in some kind of band. Like I just want to show up and plug my guitar and go, all right, so we're playing this, and just fucking do it.
Absolutely.
That would be my dream, man. I'd love to do that. But I also know that nobody's just going to hand me that job. So what am I going to do? Just sit around and wait for it? No. We build a studio, we play our own shows and put together a band and just do something. And maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get a gig like that.
And this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, all things considered, in 2021, we can do this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that we could achieve these kinds of same things technologically in 2009, where it's like, I'm going to record something, we're going to live stream
No,
it,
man,
and
no.
send video and this and that. Like, it's not
And even if we could, man, I sure as hell wasn't ready for it.
same. And
I wasn't ready.
In the ways that I wasn't ready for it, like I tell myself that when I want to cut myself some slack about that period of my life, when I want to feel shitty about myself, which is like, all right, listen, all the life lessons and wisdom that you've heard from every philosophy book that you've read and this TED Talk and this and that and all the Dave Grohl interviews and stuff. It's like, this is all stuff, fables, fairy tales, and wisdom that we've been hearing for years and years and years. But like you say, you weren't ready for it at the time. Like, my brain, my capacity.
Just kind of have to live through it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, the stage of my life in which I was ready to digest that information, I wasn't there yet. And
Develop that frontal lobe, boy.
the segment that I typically close with is a segment I call Put It On Wax, with the idea being like, let's put it on the record of stuff that you're working on, things that, goals that you've had for a while that you're working towards. That by talking about and by discussing openly and outwardly, like you put yourself on the hook for like, all right, now I'm accountable. I got to do something about this. So is there anything off the top of the head, like what's next maybe for the Demtones, or maybe stuff in your personal life that you're working on that you want to kind of improve at, or,
Well, we're finishing up the second record right now, so this should come out sometime around 2021. We're looking for a new booking agency because the one we had pretty much closed up shop because of COVID. So we're gonna get another one of those so we can go out touring. But the main thing right now is we just gonna do this whole guest thing, have people come over and just getting better at video editing, and I'm just gonna get better at working at shit in the studio so we can record our own stuff and just kind of, as I said before, kind of build the world that we want to live in, so we can end up doing this every day so we don't really have to work, That's what we want to do. That's our main goal.
That's another part of the podcast that like is important to me too, is like anybody who follows me via Instagram or anybody who gives a shit enough to watch this thing for an hour and a half. If I like somebody and they like, if somebody likes me and what I do, and then I recommend a book or a band or something like that, if they like who I am, they're probably going to like my friend's band, the Demtones, which is this fucking, again, super high energy fuzz rock, like loud, man, it's all the things that I love about live rock and roll, live music. And it makes me disappointed that you're an ocean and a half away, man. But I'm thoroughly.
Hey man, I'm coming back.
Fuck yeah.
I'm coming over there, and you better fucking come to
Please.
Europe, man.
And sincerely,
like we got the internet. Let's make this planet
absolutely,
our bitch.
dude, absolutely. And until the next time when we can actually, jam in person again, which I will greatly look forward to. Dude, thank you again for setting aside the time and getting shit-faced with me. I'm thoroughly now shit-faced.
No worries, man. Thank you so much for having me. I haven't seen you in so long, man. It's good to finally see you, like, kind of face to face.
This is as close as we can get right now, man. So I will take it. And but the sooner you can get to me, the sooner I can get to you. I will anxiously await that day as well.
Thanks for having me, man. I miss you, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
I'm excited to see what else the Demtones has for us, because if the previously released material is anything to go by, fuck, man, you guys are fuzzy and real nasty, and man, how fucking cool would it be if you guys can make it to the States one day? Fuck, that would be awesome.
Someday we will promise you that.
Yes, sir. If you wouldn't mind signing off with the catchphrase, don't be a dum-dum. Or wait a minute, is there a way you can say that in Swedish? Don't be a dum-dum? That would be tight as fuck.
Something like that. Yeah, probably. Var inte jättedum.
Dude, that is awesome.
You like that?
That is magnificent. That's the best one yet. So give me the first one. Vanti.
Va
Inte
jättedum.
Va inte jättedum.
Great.